Good morning and welcome to StudyIQ. I am MAVANI. I hope you all are doing good, my dear friends. Today we have so many important news to talk about. We are going to talk about medical sector of our country. We are going to see this paradox, and we have some facts. I believe they are important for your examination. And then we have a new concept called agricultural diplomacy, right? It's a new thing. We are going to talk about this thing as well. But before that, I would like to inform all of you, I have a good news that big Christmas sale is on. Flat 60% off is available on our pen drive and tablet courses. To find out more about it, do check out StudyIQ.com. Now let me tell you that 25th December is the last date, so make the most out of it. If you want to check out demo lectures, they are available on our portal. In case if you have any question or queries, feel free and give us a call on the numbers that you can see on your screen. Now, the first item that we have is based on this Armed Forces Flag Day. So first of all, let me salute all our brave soldiers, right, who are 24/7, 365 days protecting us. They are protecting our borders. And let me tell you one more thing, that peace and security are things that you cannot purchase it from the market. Like, we can have natural resources, we can purchase technologies, we can get other things, but this peace and security, this is something that you have to create. And without peace and security, you cannot even think about development. You cannot even think about growth and development. All our dreams, everything, right? You can sit down and think about it. If we can have the best resources in the world, right? If we have best people as well in the world, right? Highly trained, highly skilled, healthy people, well educated, well behaved people, everything you can think about, right? If you don't have security, if you don't have peace in your society, then nothing will work. Look at the situation of Afghanistan. Look at the situation of Pakistan. Look at there are other countries as well. Look at a few of the pockets of our country, this red corridor region, and this some of the border areas, right? You find they're not that developed because those places, they don't have peace. They don't have this sense of security. So these are the boys and girls, right? These brave soldiers, they are the ones who are protecting us, and they are the ones who are creating this environment of peace and security. So hats off to all of them. A big salute from, of course, from all of us, from personally, from me, from StudyIQ family, and on behalf of every one of you, I salute our brave soldiers. Now, we have some few new outstanding points coming from Vice President. He was present during this 46th annual convocation of All India Institute of Medical Sciences, and Venkaiah Naidu, he said that young doctors, he reminded all of us, he reminded all those doctors and youngsters that, particularly doctors, right, they have to bear in mind the need to uphold ethics and treat every patient with compassion and empathy. I think this is relevant for civil servants. I think it is relevant for all those government employees, right, and future employees. Like, you are the ones, right? You are going to be part of this big system. So it is very, very important that even if you are serving in a bank, or even if you are serving in, any other places, postal department or any other department, right, police department, or in this administration, remember, whatever you do, you have to do it with compassion and empathy, right? Now we have this understanding. We know this thing. Earlier on, things were a bit not that good, but now we have this chance to change our country, and this is possible. With the help of all of us, we can do it. So youngsters particularly, right, new, young, fresh blood that is coming into administration and civil services and government jobs, you have to keep this thing in mind. And doctors as well. He was talking about doctors. So he said that doctors, they have to keep this thing in mind, that they uphold ethics and they treat every patient with compassion and empathy, irrespective of his or her financial background. It's just like mother. A mother will not distinguish between her kids in the same way, right? A person who is doctor, he or she should not distinguish between patients. Someone could be rich, someone could be not that rich. And AIMS, he was talking about AIMS. AIMS stands for this All India Institute of Medical Sciences, and he said that, of course, AIMS is a very famous institution in our country, and it is like a lighthouse for other big and small institutions in our country when it comes to patient care, when it comes to teaching, research, right? AIMS is an institution which has made the nation proud and achieved excellence. Now, Vice President also talked about medical education. And we know that when it comes to medical education, we have seen a paradigm shift in medical education. It was earlier on, it was more about theory, but now it is a mix of both, a fine balance of theory plus practicality. That's what we find, and we find this new way of learning as well, self-directed small group learning, using principles of this adult learning, and so many other new you can say methods are out there, and people are learning more things in a short period of time. The biggest challenge that I find with medical education is around the world. We know that there are so many institutions. They are doing research and they are coming out with new ideas and new way of doing things. So it's a challenge. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's a challenge to to make sure that always your course, your syllabus, your curriculum is up to date. It's constantly, you have to be, as a college, as an institution, you have to continuously upgrade your system, just like our mobile phones. You have to update it after, or some apps, they do get auto updates and updates after a few days. So the same thing goes with our medical education curriculum as well. Now, he talked about this multidisciplinary teams, and this again is very important. See, the things that we are discussing here, it's not just about medical education, it is about our country. Directly, indirectly, we are talking about the need of the hour is to create institutions like AIMS, right? Institutions that can deliver excellent results. And so we'll have, say for example, we have one AIMS, and from AIMS to other institution gets inspiration, then we can have two more from them. So this chain will get bigger and bigger. That's what we want in our country. And so here we were talking about this multidisciplinary teams. The need of the hour is forging research coalitions with different department of AIMS, as well as reaching out to other centers of excellence and researchers in country, and also outside our country as well. Why not go international? Collaborate with other institutions, where learn best practices from other countries and other people. So that's what we can do. Now, the problem in our country, we have few things, right? The first thing is when it comes to accessibility of healthcare, that's something that is not available, and affordability is something that is again not there in our country. Out of pocket expense is still a big monster, and urban rural divide, that's you can see I have got some figures here for you guys, right? Some factual information, and make sure that you have this thing in your mind. 70% of India's healthcare infrastructure is in the top 20 cities. I'm going to repeat it one more time for you guys. 70% of India's healthcare infrastructure is in the top 20 cities. Look at our urban rural divide. The best example that you can think of is here, right? So the rest of the country, as you can see, when it comes to accessibility, it's not available. 1.1 beds per 1,000 population. That's our average when it comes to this bed ratio. When it comes to world average, if we look at world average, it is 2.7. So we are quite far, and this thing creates a situation of demand and supply mismatch. And because of this things, the price will go up, because you have the supply of bed is limited and the demand is high. So that will create this price mismatch. Of course, the price will go up, and this will again make things a bit difficult for poor people when it comes to accessibility as well as affordability. The other paradoxical situation that we find in our country is when it comes to medical tourism. We find people from various different parts of the world, they are coming to India for getting their knee replacement and liver transplant and so many other things. They do come from outside and they get all the best, you can say, treatment that they can think of. But the same thing is out of reach for many Indians. So that's again a dark reality, a paradox in our society. To get rid of it, if we want to change this situation, then what we have to do is we have to start creating and inventing medical devices and equipments in our country, right? Once we start doing this thing, producing things here in our country, right? And I'm not just saying that coping or breaching and taking license for producing things. Yes, we can do that thing as well, but we need proper inventions. We need latest. If we have say for example a pacemaker, then can we do something? Can we have a pacemaker that can just stay outside rather than injecting it inside, or rather than going through an operation, a very risky one? Can we have something that can just stay outside and that will maintain your proper heartbeat, and it can be connected with internet and things like that? So new ideas we need to explore, but for that we need better institutions, right? And he also talked about doctors. He said that people admire actors, but they adore their doctors, and doctors must treat their profession as a mission, right? There are a few bad news coming from this profession that many doctors, they do exploit, but in general, right, you'll find this thing, a compassion and a sort of a sense of serving people. This is something that doctors do have, and we need to cherish this, as well as we need to respect that, and we have to maintain this good culture that we have, right? So let's move on to next item now, right? Vice President was also talking about Shri Ramnath Kovindji, and he talked about this range and depth of ideas of our president is outstanding. He said is immense, and as a head of the state, Ramnath Kovindji is not just our first citizen. He is also a sort of, you can say, brand ambassador of our country. He represents this essence of the nation, its vision, aspirations, expectations, and above all, essentially, its ethos, right? Our country's ethos are represented by our president, that is Shri Ramnath Kovindji. So today, Vice President Shri M. Venkaiah Naidu has launched 2 volumes. The first one is called The Republican Ethic, and the second one is called Loktantra Ke Swar. These 2 books were released, and what you find in these 2 books is selected speeches of Honorable President of our country. And he also talked about this wise words, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahudha Vadanti. So this means truth is one. Wise man expresses it in many ways, and this inclusiveness is the essence of our countries. He also talked about this essence that you find. If you go through the speeches of Shri Ramnath Kovindji, then one thing that you will find is inclusiveness. Apart from that, Vice President also talked about this code of conduct, and this is a very, you can say, noble idea coming from our Vice President. He said that we need to evolve a consensus on code of conduct for our MPs and MLAs. And the reason why we need this thing is, we need our MLAs and MPs to behave in a particular way when they are in the house in the sense this people's house, and when they are outside the house, when they are between public, then as well they should maintain a decorum, so we need that code of conduct. So that's a very good idea coming from our Vice President. Now this India Voter Impact Summit was held in our country. It was organized by National Mission for Clean Ganga, and I am going to take you through some topics that were discussed here. So make sure that whenever you read something about these topics, right, you pay attention to these topics, and just familiarize yourself with, say for example, afforestation, how we can do it, if there are any good examples. What about bamboo? What about other trees that are helping us to achieve this afforestation? Then what is deforestation? You need to understand that thing as well. Biodiversity, how we can maintain that, what basically biodiversity means, basic definition. You need to familiarize yourself with that thing, because you find MCQs, about biodiversity, ecosystem, UPSC level, this MCQs, or in Civil Services preliminary exam. You can expect this type of basic definition based questions, and you will be surprised to know that so many students, they are not able to to crack this question about biodiversity. So you should have a clear idea in your mind what biodiversity is. Urban river management, what are the things, when was the last time a regular river of a city was in news, and was it for good purpose, or was it a good news or bad news? I'm sure if it is from Bengaluru or Mumbai or from any other city, then it would be a bad news, because our development, or means what's happening is, we know that we are throwing all our trash and litter in rivers. So that's a big problem in our country. And rivers, they are a source of fresh water. It's basically like we are killing, we are on suicidal mission. It looks like that. Data harmonization. Do we have data of various different rivers? What about our local rivers and our local natural resources? Do we have data on that thing? When I say natural resources, I'm talking about river, lakes, etc. So this setup is still not there in our country. We need that. Development of water bodies, water valuation and market development, financing in water sector, and innovation in sewage and sewerage management. These were the topics that were discussed over 3 days during the summit. Now, Nitin Gadkari, who is our minister, he said that, look, we have got one example here for you. Sismao Nala. This is a Nala in Kanpur, and this Nala was discharging 140 million liters per day of polluted water into Ganga. 140 million liters. That's you can say, it's horrendous. And this 140 million means, do you know the fact that 1 liter of polluted water can pollute 6 liter of fresh water or good quality water? So imagine how much damage this Nala was doing, but now this one is stopped. So that's a good thing. The suggestions from experts were engaging state or urban local bodies in policy planning, incorporating local or traditional knowledge in implementation, encouraging zero liquid discharge, decentralization, community-driven treatment of sewage and effluences. So this were some of the suggestions that were coming from experts. Now, Ministry of Defense, combined guided weapon firing exercise at Air Force Station Suryalanka was conducted, and this was conducted by Air Force. So 4 different classes of missiles: Akash, Spider, OSA, AKM, and IGLA. This were the 4. We have these 4 different classes of missiles, and they were tested by our Indian Air Force. So one of the main purpose was to hone the skills of our missile combat crew. And this success that we have got in this operation, or this exercise, is again something that we have to appreciate, because it gives us that competitive edge. Moving on to next item, Niti Aayog, with the vision to further expand the idea of artificial intelligence, AI for all. Niti Aayog articulated in this AI for all is articulated in this National Artificial Intelligence Strategy, and Niti Aayog organized a hackathon. Now, this hackathon was organized with the help of a Singapore-based startup called Perlin. So remember the name, just in case if you find this type of information in upcoming exams. In AI for All Global Hackathon, the main focus, the main objective was to create technologies, to create those items that can bring positive change in our society. Particularly, it can change, the life of poor people in our society. And the main purpose is to bring social, economic, as well as technological advancements in the lives of people. So that's the main focus here. And this hackathon will run in 2 stages. One stage is will end on 15th January and the second one on 15th March. So it's going to be there for some 4 months. Now, Ministry of Commerce and Industries. Startups are the new engines of growth for India. Look at the number of startups that we have. 14,497 startups. Or if you want to remember, you can say 14.5k startups are recognized with Government of India, and they will create real jobs and will be socially as well as economically beneficial for the country, has been said by our Minister Suresh Prabhu. And one more small GK thing, that Goa is now permanent venue for this annual Global Venture Capital Summit. Look at the map here. 484 districts, 29 states, 7 union territories, 55% of startups we find in Tier 1 cities, 27% in Tier 2, and 18% in Tier 3 cities of our country. So long live startups. Now let's move on to next item. It's coming from Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, and this is the thing that I was talking about. It's agriculture diplomacy at its best. Now, Shri Radha Mohan Singh has said that 160th session of Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO. So this FAO works under United Nations. Keep this thing in mind. Now, FAO Council was held in meeting took place in Rome, that is in Italy, and before that we have proposed one thing to this FAO. We say that declare one full year as International Year of Millets, and this proposal of ours has been accepted. So 2023 will be observed as International Year of Millets. On behalf of all the countrymen, the minister conveyed his gratitude to the countries who voiced their support for millets. And the good thing about millets is that they are absolutely important for nutritional security. They are important for food security, and the best thing about them is that you don't need to look after them that well. Even if the piece of land is not that good quality, if your soil is not that good, then as well, with less water in harsh conditions as well, you can go ahead with this jowar, bajra, ragi. They are all millets, and they are known as nutri cereals as well. They have more micronutrients compared to rice and wheat, and they can help us fight malnutrition. They give us strength as well. They are strong, so they're easy to digest. They can battle this diabetes and other sort of diseases. So they are, I would say, nutri cereals, super cereals. And this year, 2018, India is celebrating it as National Year of Millets. So these were some important facts and things about this millets. Now the thing is, this thing that has been accepted by this FAO, you can call it as agro diplomacy. As I told you that we don't need that good quality of land. Even if your soil is not that good, then as well you can go ahead with this nutri cereals. So they require less water, no chemicals at all, and they are cheap. They are easy to digest. So that's what we are trying to promote, and we are leading producer of these things in the world. So we can export these items, and look at the way FAO has accepted our things. So that's you can say agriculture diplomacy at its best, right? So that's basically everything about this agriculture diplomacy, right? So now it will draw attention of other countries towards us. They can basmati rice. I'm not sure if you are aware about this thing, but basmati is quite famous around the world, and like 70% plus basmati is produced in our country. If you go to some foreign country, you find that the basmati rice is there on the menu, right? Just like Darjeeling tea. So this creates an opportunity for our farmers to export these items. So it's just a first step, but if we have vision, if we can nurture this seed, then it can be a boon for our farmer. Government also said that MSP of jowar, bajra, ragi has been increased, and FAO Council has also approved India's membership to this Executive Board of United Nations World Food Programme for 2020 and 2021. So that's again a good news for our country, again a victory for, you can say, a diplomatic victory. Agricultural diplomatic victory. Prime Minister Modi expressed confidence that India's efforts to deny economic offenders safe havens abroad will show results. He presented the 9-point agenda to G20 countries, and he urged that there should not be any place at all, there should not be any refuge at all for this fugitive economic offenders. And we have one more item from Finance Ministry. Now the facts that are coming here, right, keep them in mind, because you can take them or treat them as official figures. So Finance Minister has talked about demonetization. He said that there are two benefits of demonetization, or the results that we got from our demonetization. The first one was that the formalization of our economy took place, or it expanded. And the second thing, he said that there has been a drastic increase in the tax base. And he's right. If we go through the figures, then back in 2014, there were 3.8 crore tax filers in our country, but after demonetization it has gone up to 6.86. so at present we have 6.86 crore tax filers in our country. And the Finance Minister also said that in near future we are going to see next year it will double what it used to be back in 2014. So next year it will be 7.6 crore. So that's not bad. And 18 lakh people who were not paying income tax came under scanner after demonetization. Now United Nations has got last GK item for us, and then we will wrap up. So United Nations today said that some 3.9 billion people are now using internet. So this is 51.2% of global population is using internet. And of course we are using more mobile phones now, and this fixed landline is slowly becoming a thing of the past. So that's everything in today's discussion, dear friends. I will see you tomorrow. You can download the PDF of today's lecture from my FB page and Twitter handle. Make sure you share this lecture with other students. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Jai Hind.